Welcome to Claw FA. You are standing in the stands at Brockwell Park. The final whistle has just blown, and Brixton AFC has officially been relegated. Down in the boardroom, the executives are staring at spreadsheets bleeding red, basically facing an absolute commercial catastrophe. The broadcast revenue is gone. The financial projections are totally ruined.
Yeah, but look around you in the stands. It is a sea of clarets and sky blue. I mean, this inner city crowd isn't rioting. They are actually singing at the top of their lungs. They fully embrace their unofficial chaotic motto: relegation is not shame if you are still singing.
Right, and that disconnect is just fascinating. The boardroom is terrified of the revenue drop, while the fans are locked in the state of anarchic joy, which sets the stage to explore one massive question. When supporters completely reject the board's financial logic, who really controls the football club?
It is the ultimate collision, really, between modern sports business and traditional community identity. To understand the mechanics of it, you have to dissect what that scene at Brockwell Park actually reveals about Brixton's operational model. They exist in this perpetual yo-yo cycle between the mid-tier and the second division, and, well, it defines them.
And from a governance perspective, that identity is a total nightmare. I was looking at the commercial breakdown of their legendary 2003 season.
Oh, yeah.
They achieved the impossible, got promoted to the big tier, spent wildly on these unpredictable flair players, and were immediately catastrophically relegated.
It was a comic tragedy on the pitch, sure, but it completely crystallized their mythology in the stands. I mean, the supporters wear that instant fall like a badge of honor. They prize authentic, chaotic suffering over slick commercial sophistication. It generates this emotional loyalty that you just cannot artificially manufacture in a marketing meeting.
Sure, but let's look at the practical consequence of that loyalty. Managing Brixton is like day trading a highly volatile meme coin. Because the fan base thrives on the adrenaline spike of the drama, the glorious promotions and the tragic falls, the board is effectively blocked from building a boring, sustainable 5-year infrastructure plan.
They are. The supporters demand passion over pragmatism every single time. Look at Cornelius Adeyemi.
Right, their talisman.
Exactly. He stayed with the club through 3 complete yo-yo cycles. To the fans, he is the ultimate emblem of devotion. So to keep that atmosphere alive, the board has to prioritize keeping figures like him around.
Which completely warps their recruitment strategy. By romanticizing Adeyemi's struggle, the club prioritizes emotional resonance over the cutthroat, data-driven squad building they actually need to win. Think about a startup addicted to the chaos of the hustle rather than sustainable growth. They cap their own competitive potential because they tolerate a deeply flawed system as long as it feels authentic.
Well, it is a fair critique of their ceiling. But if Brixton is that volatile meme coin, we really need to examine the exact opposite approach. Because a completely different supporter culture can actually give a board a massive, tangible financial superpower.
Oh, you mean talking about operating more like a slow-yielding index fund?
Exactly. And that brings us to the Midlands and Edgbaston FC. The Bears.
Amber and brown.
Yeah, amber and brown. Their supporters operate on a totally different frequency from Brixton. Their entire philosophy is captured by their mantra. Small improvements become history if you keep making them. It is a very family-friendly, patient culture.
And the practical advantage of that patience is just staggering. Think about this in terms of your own workplace. If your boss doesn't panic when a quarterly goal is missed, you actually have the freedom to build something. Right, but Edgbaston's board never has to trigger that doom loop. Because the fans don't riot, the executives don't have to engage in desperate panic buying to appease an angry mob. They bypass those massive severance payouts and just reinvest that saved capital directly into smart youth development.
Which is the specific mechanism that allowed them to climb methodically into big-tier status, peaking with that 5th-place finish in 2018. They did it through intelligent marginal gains rather than spectacular debt-fueled spending.
Yusuf Bayrak in 2020 is the perfect case study of this mechanism in action. The board identified a mature, technical playmaker. He wasn't a glamorous, theatrical Steining who would sell 1 million shirts on day one. He was simply a highly efficient, experienced professional.
Yeah, a signing that only works if the fans give the player time to integrate without demanding instant highlight reel moments. The Edgbaston supporters gave the boardroom the quiet respect required to find exactly the right operational fit, rather than demanding a PR stunt to boost morale.
Edgbaston proves that patience can yield massive commercial dividends. But, I keep thinking about the dark side of that same coin. What happens when patience and tradition calcify into an unyielding stubbornness? because supporter expectations can easily become a strict set of rules that paralyze a board.
Oh, you are looking at the Northeast now. Timebridge Park, Jesmond AFC in the green and yellow.
Okay.
They are universally known as the league's honest northern grafters. If you want to understand their operational constraints, just listen to the crowd. Hard, honest, no pretense.
Structurally, they are the definition of continuity. Single-family ownership since 1972.
Wow, yeah.
And the fans demand a very specific product. Effort over flair, slide tackles in the mud over modern tactical innovation.
It allowed them to survive a rough mid-tier stint from 2009 to 2011 without a shred of panic, though. They trust their foundation implicitly. You see it embodied perfectly in their homegrown captain, Tom Threlkeld. He is this stable, big-tier grafter who will just run himself into the ground for the badge.
Sure, but if you've ever tried to implement a new software system at a legacy company, you will recognize exactly what Jesmond's board is facing here. The fans' demand for honest grit is a massive operational limitation. It drastically restricts the talent pool the board can recruit from.
Well, the supporters act as cultural gatekeepers. They want to see that northern grit on the pitch. If a highly technical player doesn't look like he is physically suffering for the shirt, the crowd turns on him, regardless of what his underlying performance metrics say.
And this is exactly where their culture becomes a ceiling. They challenged for titles in 1988 and 1994. They had deep cup runs in 2013, but they always fall short. Their fans' absolute refusal to embrace modern, data-driven tactical flair actively prevents the board from signing the championship-caliber talent needed to actually win.
It keeps their identity intact, though. I look at the broader landscape, and a club that abandons its core identity loses its actual intrinsic value. You cannot treat supporters like ordinary consumers who just passively buy a product off a shelf.
But when outsized supporter influence dictates recruitment, it universally encourages irrationality. The fans prioritize emotion over cold efficiency, which just reduces the bird's ability to act rationally. That cultural identity transforms from a marketing asset into a suffocating financial constraint.
I strongly disagree with that framing. Supporter trust is a massive, tangible business asset. Look at Edgbaston. The trust in the stands is literally what protects the balance sheet from the volatility of the transfer market.
Edgbaston is the exception, though. Look back at Jesmond. Their fans' demand for a romanticized version of honest grit directly prevents necessary modernization. That cultural stubbornness is the specific reason their trophy cabinet is empty.
Jesmond's cultural stability is exactly what...
Their stability is a nostalgic anchor that sinks any attempt at winning a modern title.
No, their stability is what kept them from going totally bankrupt when foreign investment flooded the league and other clubs spent themselves into oblivion. But, okay, I will concede this point to you. Supporters can absolutely be wrong. The emotional demands of the crowd can occasionally blind them to the harsh underlying economic realities required to run a sustainable modern organization.
Thank you. And in fairness, I will partially accept your argument as well. You cannot just strip away a community's soul and expect the balance sheet to thrive. If an ownership group treats the fans purely as a revenue stream to be optimized, they eventually destroy the underlying product itself.
Precisely. Even the most flawlessly modeled, financially logical strategy drawn up in a boardroom will completely collapse if nobody in the stands believes in it. Without emotional buy-in from the community, the spreadsheets are effectively worthless.
Which brings this entirely back to you, the owner. Whether you are analyzing a football club in Claw FA, evaluating a multinational corporation, or looking at a local business in your own neighborhood, the fundamental tension is exactly the same.
It is the inevitable, messy collision between the cold, structural efficiency of the executives at the top and the passionate, emotional soul of the people at the bottom who actually give the institution its life.